You think you caught everything in Weapons? Think again. This movie is packed with hidden details and behind-the-scenes secrets that completely change how you see the story. From the casting choices nobody saw coming to clues hiding in plain sight, these are the things most viewers totally missed. Stick around, because by the end, you'll be watching Weapons in a whole new way. These 10 things will completely change your understanding of Weapons. The casting secret. Amy Madigan as Gladys wasn't just a casting choice. It was a carefully engineered secret. Zach Cregger met her once, instantly knew she was perfect, and offered her the role right there on the spot. But here's the twist. They didn't tell anyone. Not the press, not the early reviewers, not even in the trailers or promo stills. They wanted her reveal to be one of those, wait, is that Amy Madigan? Moments in the theater. It worked. Because when Gladys finally steps into the story, you're not just processing the character, you're processing the shock of seeing a familiar face in such a completely unhinged role. That little bit of real-world surprise pulls you even deeper into the horror, a metaphor for addiction. On the surface, Gladys is just the creepy, supernatural presence at the heart of Weapons, but for Zach Cregger, she's something much more personal. In interviews, he's talked about how the final act of the movie was inspired by his own childhood experience growing up with an addict in the family. That's why Gladys isn't just a monster. She's a metaphor for the slow, relentless pull of addiction. She drains the life out of the people around her, not just physically, but emotionally. And she does it in a way that feels familiar and human, even while it's terrifying. Most viewers will watch that final showdown and see a straight horror ending. But when you know the real-life context behind it, suddenly every look, every line, every desperate escape attempt takes on a whole new layer of meaning. It's not just about defeating a creature. It's about surviving something that's been inside your home for far too long. Climax took 4 grueling days to film. The big kids uprising scene near the end looks chaotic and raw, but what you're seeing on screen is the result of an incredibly tough shoot. That sequence took 4 full days to film, and it wasn't just because of the stunts they had. Dozens of child actors on set, practical effects, moving camera rigs, and timed pyrotechnics all working together. Every kid had to hit their mark perfectly while keeping that wild, frenzied energy you see in the final cut. The crew described it as controlled mayhem. To keep the performances fresh, they sometimes shot out of order, so one moment the kids were pretending to be terrified, and the very next shot they'd be screaming in victory. The fact that the whole scene still feels natural and high stakes is a testament to both the kids' energy and the crew's precision. It's one of those sequences that feels like chaos, but is actually an incredibly choreographed piece of filmmaking. Subtle prosthetic and hair changes. You probably remember Gladys looking terrifying from the moment she appears. But what most people miss is that her appearance actually changes as the movie goes on. It's not random. The makeup and prosthetics team built a very subtle progression into her look. Her hair gets thicker, her skin smooths out, and even the lines on her face fade. These changes are tiny, almost invisible if you're not looking for them, but they're meant to show that she's literally feeding on the life force of the people she captures. And here's the kicker. They didn't rely on big CGI transformations. Most of it was done in camera, with physical prosthetics, wigs, and lighting tricks. That means if you go back and watch those scenes in order, you can actually track her getting stronger and younger with every victim. It's one of those craft details that makes the horror feel more real, even if your brain only notices it on a subconscious level. Cast knew they were making something unusual. From the outside, Weapons might look like just another dark, surreal horror movie, but the cast knew from day one they were making something unusual. Josh Brolin, Julia Garner, and the rest of the ensemble have all said in interviews that the tone on set felt unlike anything they'd worked on before. The script didn't just read strange, it played strange in the performances. Sometimes a scene would start deadly serious, then shift into absurd humor, then slam back into pure dread in a matter of seconds. That wasn't an accident. Cregger wanted his actors to lean into that whiplash so the audience could never fully settle in. Even between takes, the cast stayed slightly off balance, because they were never quite sure how the final cut would feel. That unpredictability is baked right into the DNA of the movie, and you can feel it in every line delivery and every uneasy pause. Tonal collage was by design. One of the strangest things about Weapons is how it refuses to settle on a single tone, and that's completely by design. Zach Cregger built the film as a tonal collage, mixing horror, absurd humor, slow burn drama, and even moments that feel like a soap opera. And here's the really wild part. The actors were often told to change their performance style right in the middle of a scene. Julia Garner might start a conversation in grounded, realistic mode. Then halfway through, Cregger would ask her to play it like a melodrama. Or Josh Brolin would be doing this intense, gruff moment, and suddenly he'd be told to lean into awkward comedy. The point was to keep the audience constantly off balance, to make you feel like the ground could shift at any second. That tonal whiplash is part of what makes the movie so unsettling. Your brain never gets to relax because you never know if the next beat will make you laugh, cringe, or want to cover your eyes. Witch graffiti. Early in the film, there's a quick moment that most people barely register. Archer vandalizes Justine's car with the word witch scrawled across it. At first, it just feels like small-town spite, a petty insult from a bitter character. But once you know who Gladys really is, that graffiti becomes a piece of foreshadowing hiding in plain sight. It's the film tipping its hand way earlier than you think, almost daring you to connect the dots. What's clever is how it blends into the background noise of the story. There are so many small-town tensions and bits of drama flying around that your brain just files it away as part of the setting. Then, in the final act, it clicks. That single word isn't just an insult, it's the truth, and it's been staring you in the face the whole time. Consumption as an archaic clue. The most jaw-dropping moment in Weapons for a lot of viewers is when Justine is revealed to be Gladys. But here's what makes that twist land so hard. If you watch closely, the film has been planting tiny, almost invisible hints all along. There are fleeting camera holds on Justine's expressions, odd pauses in her dialogue, and even moments where the lighting on her face mirrors how Gladys is lit in later scenes. Julia Garner knew about the twist from the start, so she played Justine with these subtle shifts in body language, a little stillness here, an oddly knowing look there, that your brain notices but can't quite process until the reveal. It's the kind of performance that works on two timelines. The first watch, you're just following the story. The second watch, you're kicking yourself for not putting it together sooner. That's the mark of a twist done right. And that's our list of the hidden things in Weapons that change everything. Which one blew your mind the most? Or did you catch something we didn't? Drop your thoughts in the comments because we want to hear your theories. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button. And if you want more deep dives into movies that mess with your head, make sure you're subscribed and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming next.